The shadow in the backyard. It was December 2025, one of those stifling, overly silent nights where even the distant noise of the street seems to have ceased to exist. I live alone, so I was already used to the silence of the house. That day, I was lying on the sofa, watching TV and scrolling through my phone, binge-watching some series that always helped me pass the time. It was almost dawn, everything seemed normal, until, out of nowhere, I heard a noise coming from the backyard. I thought it might be a cat, an opossum, any animal that usually appears at night. But the sound wasn't light, it was heavy. It sounded like something walking slowly, stepping firmly, as if it wanted to be noticed. My heart started racing right there, for no rational reason. I got up from the sofa trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. I mustered my courage, even with my legs a little shaky, and walked towards the backyard. Each step seemed more difficult than the last. The house was dark. Only the dim light of the TV illuminated the hallway behind me. When I got close to the backyard door, the noise stopped. That's when the fear worsened. I pushed the door open slowly and looked outside. The backyard was plunged into a strange darkness, as if the night there was denser than usual. I took another step, and then I saw it. At the back of the yard, standing motionless, was a huge figure. It wasn't an ordinary shadow. It had form, it had volume, it had presence. It looked like a dog, but not a normal dog. That thing was too big. It must have been about 2 meters tall, maybe more. Its body was all dark, as if it were made of the night itself, and its eyes were white. They didn't shine like an animal's. They were white, empty, deep, staring directly at me. At that moment, I was sure that it was looking at me. I felt a chill run from my spine to the nape of my neck. My whole body froze. The air felt heavy, difficult to breathe. I wanted to run, close the door, scream, but I could only do one thing. I screamed. A desperate scream, one of those that come out uncontrollably. The very second I screamed, the thing simply vanished, as if it had never been there. In the blink of an eye, the yard was empty. I slammed the door shut, locked everything, and ran back inside. My heart felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. I spent the rest of the night awake, sitting on the sofa with all the lights on, staring at the backyard door, waiting, without knowing exactly what. Sleeping was impossible. The worst part is that the fear didn't end that night. More than a month has passed since I saw that shadow, but the feeling hasn't gone away. Since then, I've been feeling strange things, a constant feeling that something is going to happen. Sometimes I get chills out of nowhere. Other times, I wake up in the middle of the night with the feeling of being watched. The backyard, especially, has never seemed the same since. I'm writing this account because I need to understand what it was that I saw. A spirit, a demon, something that should never have appeared to me, or something that was always there and just decided to show itself. Since that night, I feel like I'm not completely alone anymore. And what scares me the most is thinking that maybe that figure hasn't gone away. The message, the record. I lost an aunt in 2016, and after that, I started having spiritual dreams about her. There were so many dreams that I even got used to them. Now, let's get to the real story. In 2022, I saw on social media that the grandmother of a friend I had distanced myself from many years ago, had passed away. Okay, I mentioned it to my mother, and it passed. Sometime later, I had a dream. In the dream, I was a waitress in a restaurant. The doors were closed, and for some reason, no one could enter. Then, a murmur started, that a woman wanted to enter the restaurant at all costs, and I insisted to the other employees that they not let her in. Then someone brought me an ID of that person, and I froze. It was a photo and the name of Mika's grandmother, and then I started telling people that it was impossible because she was dead. In the dream, I was terrified, and after a lot of confusion, I went to the door to talk to her. Outside the restaurant was a very large, bare and empty parking lot. It was just an open field. I met her outside and told her she couldn't come in because she was dead. But she insisted. Something very strange happened because I really thought about it and made a huge effort to try to resolve it. That's when I said I couldn't let her in, but that I would give a message to her family. She only said, "They left me out here alone." That's when I understood she wanted to talk about her house. I said I would pass on the message and asked if she wanted a mass, and she confirmed she did. I woke up terrified because I understood that I had been a conduit for someone else, besides my aunt, whom I mentioned at the beginning. And I was afraid of hearing about talking to other spirits, and I had another mission. How could I tell this to someone I was fighting with and hadn't spoken to for years? I contacted a mutual friend, whom I'll call Mari here, I told her, and she said I needed to talk to Mika. I got her contact information, but I didn't talk to her at that moment because it was very early, 6 in the morning. I went back to sleep, and a little later, Mari sent another message. And it was a screenshot of Mika's status, saying that it had been a month since her grandmother's passing and that she couldn't accept it. After that, I mustered up the courage, talked to Mika, and told her about the dream. What she did with that information, I don't know. But I fulfilled the agreement in the dream, the deformed face. In 2022, I moved to a different city and went to live in a friend's house. In the same month, I started dating my wife. My friend's house was in a more rural area here in Portugal, while my girlfriend's, now wife's, was in the city, where I also worked in a tattoo shop. Public transportation was terrible. I started work at 10 am, but the only bus available left at 6 am. So, every day, I took that early bus to my girlfriend's house, slept until around 9, and from there, I walked to work. At the time, I already had my dog, Gaia, and before work, even in the early morning, I would take her for a walk, since my friend wasn't obligated to look after her during the day. One of those days, I woke up between 4:30 and 5 in the morning. As soon as we went outside, I felt a different atmosphere, a weight in the air. I took Gaia to a small field surrounded by bushes, where she usually relieved herself. That day, she went into the bushes and a very strong wind came up. Gaia ran back to me, looking back as if something was chasing her. At that moment, I felt an incredibly strong energy and made the mistake of asking aloud, "Who are you? What do you want?" My whole body shuddered. I grabbed Gaia and went home. I went to work as usual, but the heavy feeling stayed with me. When I got to my girlfriend's house, I went to sleep. That's when I dreamed of a dark place, full of bushes. There was a horrible being. It looked like a woman, but with a deformed face and a sinister smile. I tried to hide, but she found me. In the dream, she grabbed me by the neck and said, "Didn't you want to know who I was? This is who I am." Her image was terrifying, and the pain in my neck was real. It wasn't just a dream. The pain in my neck was intense, physical, as if someone was really attacking me. That's what scared me so much. My girlfriend woke me up because I was crying and breathless. She saw me being truly suffocated. In the following days, the room felt heavy, and Gaia was restless, seeing something and growling, almost always as if she were protecting us from something. We did many prayers and spiritual cleansings. From that day on, I learned never again to ask unknown energies who I am. The farewell. I lived in a more secluded neighborhood, just me, my girlfriend, and our dog, Chica. It was a very quiet place. After a certain hour, it seemed like the world simply shut down there. I had a habit of working late on the computer, always much more productive in the early morning hours. Then my girlfriend would go to sleep, and I would stay in the kitchen, sitting in a chair against the window that looked directly onto the street. Chica would usually lie down near me and stay there, keeping me company. That early morning, there was absolute silence. No cars passed, there was no wind, no dogs barked. It was the kind of silence that makes noise inside your own head. And for work, for me, it was perfect. And I was concentrating on the computer when, out of nowhere, I heard a sound. It was a metallic creaking, but it wasn't just any noise. It was like someone was dragging a huge metal safe across an iron surface, a heavy, scratching, vibrating sound. It was horrible, and it was very loud. And the worst part was, it seemed to be coming right from my window. I froze. My reflection in the dark glass stayed there, staring back at me. Outside, it was just darkness. I quickly glanced at the street, trying to see if anyone was there, if there was any movement, but there was nothing, and the silence returned, as if nothing had happened. The dog that was lying down raised her head. She didn't bark, she didn't growl, she just stood there, staring fixedly at the window. After that, she simply turned and walked towards the bedroom. I called her, half trying to convince myself that everything was normal. She even came back, but only as far as the kitchen entrance. She stuck her head inside, looked at me, and I swear to you, it was a very clear look that said, "I'm not staying there anymore." She didn't want to come in at all. She turned and went back to the bedroom. I still spoke aloud, trying to rationalize. "It was nothing, Chica. Come here." And it was exactly at that moment that the noise happened again, only this time worse, much louder and longer. It was as if something extremely heavy was being slowly dragged right on the other side of the glass. I felt vibrations. The chair felt like it was going to shake. It wasn't far. It wasn't on the street below. It was right there, in front of my house. My heart raced. I stood paralyzed, staring out the window with an absurd feeling that if I got up and looked closer, I might see something out there. But I didn't have the courage. I closed the laptop immediately and went to my room. And that night, I slept with the computer on in the kitchen. I simply couldn't go back there to turn it off. The next day when I woke up, I went to look at the street. There were no marks, no scratches on the ground, nothing out of place. But after that night, I never again managed to sit in that chair facing the window. And to this day, I have no idea what was being dragged out there.